When the gun was pointed at Captain Elena Volkov's head, all 23 officers in the briefing room held their breath. 1 second earlier, they'd been arguing that rescuing 3 American spies from a Russian prison in Kiev was mathematically impossible. 2,000 soldiers, steel doors, biometric security, underground cells. Impossible. Then she walked in. No rank insignia, no name, no unit patch. Just black tactical clothing, a modified weapon on her shoulder, and in her eyes, something everyone recognized but never wanted to see. Absolute certainty. She leaned against the back wall, arms crossed, waited. Colonel David Mercer, a man who had been surprised by nothing in 26 years of service, stopped speaking. 23 officers turned, stared, and in that moment, everyone thought the same thing. Who is this woman? "This is a classified briefing," Mercer said, his voice full of authority. "Identify yourself." The woman didn't move. "I'm here for the Kiev operation." "That doesn't answer my question. Name and unit. Now." "My name isn't relevant. My unit is compartmentalized." Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Chen, Special Operations Liaison, sitting in the front row, turned completely around. "Colonel, we weren't informed anyone was joining this operation." "Neither was I." Mercer's jaw tightened. Unidentified personnel meant either a security breach or catastrophe. "Last chance. Who sent you?" The woman's expression didn't change. "Joint Special Operations Command, above your clearance level. If you need verification, call this number." She recited a number from memory. "Ask for Sentinel." Mercer looked at her. Long, appraising. Finally, "What's your call sign?" In the military, call signs were currency. They told you who someone was, protected operational security, measured respect. The woman was silent for exactly 3 seconds. Everyone in the room waited. No one breathed. Then she spoke. One word. Quiet, clear. Power felt in every syllable. Wraith. The effect was immediate and devastating. Lieutenant Colonel Chen's face went pure white. Special Forces Commander Major Rodriguez shot up from his chair. The CIA officer in civilian clothes dropped his pen, the plastic hitting the floor, echoing through the room. And Colonel Mercer, who'd served 3 tours in Iraq, danced with death in Syria, been surprised by nothing, took an involuntary step backward. "Good God," Chen whispered, her voice trembling. The silence in the room was now electrically charged, a palpable tension in the air. Every officer stared at her with expressions mixing shock, disbelief, and fear. This is impossible," Rodriguez stammered. "This is Wraith," another officer said, his voice full of awe. "The actual Wraith." "But Wraith doesn't exist," a captain said. "She's just a legend. Stories operators tell each other, right?" Elena Volkov, whose name was buried so deep that even she rarely remembered it, leaned against the wall, quietly watching the room's reaction. She'd experienced this before, the moment when her call sign entered the room before her and changed everything. She'd never gotten used to it. "Colonel," Chen turned to Mercer, her voice urgent. "If she's really Wraith, we need to verify immediately." "But if she is," she paused. "We need her." Mercer collected himself with visible effort. He pulled out his phone, dialed the number. The conversation was brief, tense, one-sided. When he hung up, his face showed mixed emotions. "Verified," he said finally, authority back in his voice. "Welcome to the operation, Wraith." He pronounced the call sign with careful respect. "Now will you tell me why Joint Special Operations Command sent their legendary ghost operator to Kiev?" Elena pushed off from the wall, walked forward. Every eye in the room tracked her movement. She approached the tactical map on the screen, pointed to a specific building in Kiev. "Because," she said, her voice calm but certain, "you have 3 American spies in a Russian prison, guarded by 2,000 soldiers, with steel doors, biometric security, underground cells. You've been trying to rescue them for 6 months. You've tried twice. You failed twice." She paused, turned to the room. made eye contact with each officer. I will extract them in 48 hours, alone, silently, and the Russians won't realize they're gone until 24 hours after I leave. Absolute silence. Then Rodriguez, his voice cracked. That's impossible. Elena smiled, cold, confident. The word impossible doesn't exist in my vocabulary, Major. I'm Wraith. Impossible is what I do. And with those words, she took control of the meeting. And every officer in that room knew their mission had completely changed, because Wraith had arrived. And Wraith never failed. 72 hours earlier, Joint Special Operations Command Center outside Washington, D.C. Elena sat in the secure conference room across from Sentinel. Sentinel wasn't a real name. It was a code name for 4 different officers doing the same job. The current Sentinel, 50s, gray hair, lined face, didn't waste time. "We have a problem in Kiev," he said, placing a file in front of her. "Russian Federal Security Service detention facility. 3 American intelligence operatives captured 8 months ago. Deep cover blown. Currently being tortured for information." Elena opened the file. 3 photos, 3 faces. Young people with families captured while serving their country. Marcus Webb, 34, CIA analyst. Sarah Chen, 29, CIA field operative. James Park, 31st National Security Agency analyst. "Why now?" Elena asked. 8 months is a long time to wait, because our intelligence says the Russians will transfer them to public trial in 1 week. Propaganda show. If that transfer happens, our chance of rescuing them drops to 0. Now or never. Elena studied the facility images. Downtown Kiev. Large Soviet-era building. 12 floors. Underground detention levels. 2,000 personnel. Biometric access. Armed guards on every floor. Conventional assault, she asked, already knowing the answer. Would create an international crisis. Diplomatic conflict with Russia, probably war. That's why conventional assault isn't even an option. Stealth extraction? We tried twice. First attempt, couldn't even get inside. Security too tight. Second attempt, got inside but couldn't reach the hostages. Too many checkpoints. Sentinel paused, looked directly at Elena. That's why we're calling Wraith. Solo infiltration. Extract 3 hostages. Escape before alarm is raised. This is what you do. Elena studied the images more carefully. Building layout, security patterns, access points, structural vulnerabilities. And she saw it. What everyone else missed. This isn't a prison, she said slowly. This is a building. And every building follows architectural logic. If you understand the logic. You can walk through walls, Sentinel finished. That's why I'm calling you. Elena had studied architecture before the military, MIT, structural engineering. Her thesis was on Soviet-era building vulnerabilities. When the Army recruited her, they saw her unique combination of skills. Architectural knowledge plus tactical training equals operator who could walk through walls. Wraith was born. When do I leave? Elena asked. Your plane is waiting now. You'll be airborne in 2 hours. Once you reach Kiev, you have 48 hours. Elena stood, took the file. Enough, she said simply. Because for Wraith, 48 hours was a lifetime. 36 hours later, Kiev. Elena was in the safe house outside the city, watching the facility through a telescopic camera. 12 floors, Soviet brutalist architecture, concrete and steel, designed for durability, not security. That was a mistake. Elena overlaid the building blueprints, 1970s construction records declassified, with modern security upgrades, and found what she was looking for, architectural vulnerability. Soviet-era buildings used standardized plumbing systems, vertical shafts every 40 meters, running the entire building height. Modern renovations often forgot to upgrade the shafts. Too expensive, too difficult. If those vertical shafts still existed, and if the original access panels were still in place, She could enter the building, bypassing security checkpoints. Insertion. 0200 hours. Elena moved through Kiev streets like a tourist. Backpack, casual clothes, camera. But her backpack was full of tactical equipment, climbing gear, breaching tools, suppressed weapons, communication devices. 200 meters from the facility, she climbed to an apartment rooftop, pulled out a telescope, observed guard rotations every 4 hours, clean patterns, perimeter security, armed patrols, predictable routes, cameras, fixed positions, blind spots identifiable, and, most importantly, on the side of the building, ground level, an old maintenance hatch, Soviet era, probably forgotten. Entry point, 0330 hours. Infiltration began. Elena approached the maintenance hatch using shadows. The lock was old, Soviet, easily picked. She entered. Dark, narrow. The vertical shaft stretched upward 12 floors. Metal ladder rungs bolted to the wall. Perfect. She began climbing, every movement silent, every breath controlled, climbing very slow. Rushing would create noise. Noise would create alarm. Alarm would mean mission failure. She climbed 3 floors, then 4, 5, 6. At the 7th floor, she stopped. According to intelligence, the hostages were held on the 7th floor in the processing area before descending to underground detention levels. She found the access panel, carefully opened it, peered through. Hallway, empty. 2 guards visible 50 meters away, talking. Perfect timing. Elena exited the shaft into the hallway, silently closed the panel behind her. Now she was inside the building, but the hardest part was just beginning. Find the hostages, extract them, escape before anyone noticed. 7th floor, detention processing area. Elena moved like a ghost. Every step calculated, every turn pre-planned. She passed 3 rooms, each with different functions: storage, interrogation, guard quarters. In the 4th room, she found what she was looking for: detention log, handwritten in Russian, names noted: Cell 7C, 7F, 7K, 3 cells, 3 hostages. Cell 7C, first hostage Marcus Webb, CIA analyst, 34 years old, 8 months captive. Elena examined the door lock. Electronic, biometric plus keypad, designed to resist brute force. But Elena didn't use brute force. From her backpack, she pulled a bypass device, custom-made from an architect friend. It mechanically overrode electronic locks. 30 seconds. The lock clicked. She entered. Webb was lying on the cot, thin, in bad shape, but alive. Marcus Webb, Elena whispered. U.S. military, I'm here to rescue you. Webb's eyes opened, blurry, confused. Are you real? I'm real, but you must be silent. We're leaving. She helped Webb to his feet, weak but functional. 2 more hostages remained. 45 minutes later, 3 hostages extracted: Elena, Marcus Webb, Sarah Chen, and James Park, all in the vertical shaft, descending. The 3 hostages were weak, malnourished, but could move with Elena's guidance. They reached ground floor, the maintenance hatch, exit point. Elena carefully opened it. Outside, empty. Guards had rotated away. Go, she whispered, one at a time, silent. Webb first, then Chen, then Park, Elena last. When they emerged, Kiev's night air hit them. Cold, clean, freedom. No running, Elena commanded. Walk. Normal, like tourists. Follow me. They walked 200 meters to the apartment building, to the safe house. Once inside, Elena activated the radio. Overwatch, this is Wraith. Package secured. 3 hostages extracted. Exfiltrating now. The radio crackled. Confirm Wraith. 3 hostages? Confirmed. Webb, Chen, Park, all alive. Repeat, mission successful. A pause. Then, outstanding work, Wraith. Exfil team inbound. ETA 40 minutes. Elena looked at the hostages. All 3 were crying, silently, gratefully. "You're going home," she said simply. 3 months later, a bar at Fort Bragg, Elena was drinking whiskey when Major Rodriguez approached. "I wanted to thank you," Rodriguez said. "Kiev, those 3 people you extracted, they have families, children. You brought them home." Elena smiled. "It's the job. It's more than that. So how do you do it? How do you enter and exit places everyone says are impossible?" Elena turned her whiskey glass in her hand. "No secret. Training, experience, and understanding that every mission has a solution. Most operators rely on firepower and speed. I rely on patience and precision. I avoid instead of fight. I hide instead of engage. And when I must kill, I do it so quietly and efficiently that by the time anyone knows I was there, I'm already gone. That's why Wraith. I'm the operator who doesn't exist until the mission's complete. And by then, it's too late." Rodriguez raised his glass. "To Wraith, the operator who doesn't exist." Elena clinked her glass against his. 2 completed missions. But she knew the truth. Wraith was a legend. But Elena Volkov was human. And when the next call came, and it would come, she'd be ready. Because impossible missions always needed someone. And that someone was always Wraith. Have you ever accomplished something everyone said was impossible? When everyone said it can't be done, but you did it anyway? Drop your story in the comments. If this story showed you that architecture can be a weapon, like and subscribe. More incredible operator stories waiting. Until tomorrow, remember, walls aren't obstacles. Walls are just puzzles you haven't looked at closely enough. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Shadowed Glory Stories.